rest on my name and hands. Preacher said, son, stay straight, but he never did understand. Sheriff took my daddy's land for a deal that turned to dirt. So I took my pride and my 45 and I gave back what he earned. Yeah, I broke the law, but the law broke first. It turned his back when the good folks heard. You can call me sinner, you can call me cursed, but I broke the law, 'cause the law broke first. Judge in town wore a Sunday smile, but he drank with the devil at night. Told me, boy, you can't win that fight, but I've been wrong and right. So I lit a match to the courthouse steps, watched the truth go up in flames. Sometimes you gotta make your stand, even when they call your name. Yeah, I broke the law, but the law broke first. It turned its back when the good folks heard. You can call me sinner, you can call me cursed, but I broke the law, 'cause the law broke first. Now I ain't no hero, I ain't no saint, but I know damn well what justice ain't. If the law won't bleed for the people's word, then it ain't worth the paper it's written on, sir. Yeah, I broke the law, but the law broke first. I broke the law, but the law broke first. You stole my faith and left me worse. You can call me wanted, I've seen worse, 'cause I broke the law when the law broke first. I broke the law, 'cause the law broke first. The law.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control. Late night in Moscow, where nothing ever happens. Night
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope that everybody is having an awesome Friday and has a fun and relaxing weekend planned. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Bertie. I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Central, and on Friday evenings, we do a call-in stream, so I get to hear from you all in the Hive. I will be pinning that link in the comment section shortly. However, just to give a little bit of a background on what the topic for the call-in and what I want to hear from you all about, besides just in general about the Idaho 4 case, I want to hear about your thoughts on the experts. It could be Cy Ray, it could be Turvey. I guess we could even include Chris Whitcomb into that as far as an author and given his background with the FBI. If there's ever been a night to drop the gloves and just let it fly, it's tonight. Go read the comment section on the Custody Queen's interview with Cy Ray. Go look at all of the posts on all of the different platforms of any clips from that interview. Go read what people are saying and how they are reacting, not to the Custody Queens. If anything, the Custody Queens and Rod are continuing to get praise for keeping their sanity, listening to that gaslighting for 3+ hours. But go read the comments. If you don't think that the tide has shifted and is continuing to shift, you're sorely mistaken. That interview was a massive slap in the face, not only to the people that care about truth and justice and want to help and are seeking out what happened to these 4 people, making sure that the right person's behind bars. The overwhelming majority of people want to do good. And these people that go onto these interviews and they go onto these platforms and they sit there and they talk like a bunch of pompous assholes, to put it bluntly, like we don't know anything. Like, thank God that I don't eat 5 rocks for breakfast before I realize it's not Fruity Pebbles. I mean, they look at us like we're stupid. They talk to us like we're stupid, and it's disrespectful. So, as I was saying, if there's ever been a night to drop the gloves, tonight's the night. They want to look at us. They want to call us either conspiracy theorists, or they want to say, well, maybe if you just logically thought and you use some common sense. And I know that your audience is pretty much stupid, but let me tell you. And that's all of them. Fuck that. Sorry for the language. You guys know I try to not cuss, but fuck that. That pisses me off because they know. We know. And they don't care. And if there's anything that, as I've become an adult, that has really started to trigger me, if that's what you want to say, is when somebody knows that they are wrong and they know you know, but rather than own up to it, rather than right their wrong, they just tell you you're the problem. It's you. You wouldn't understand. So, anyways, I hope that you guys bring some awesome calls this evening. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll that I had in the chat, which had to do with the documents, and that is, do any of the documents that we have access to contain the truth based on what the experts have said? We had a tie for no and some, but can't tell what it is at 46% and 8% or 7% as yes. Now, what's interesting about those results is, and this isn't necessarily a challenge to anybody that said some, but don't know what it is. So we don't know, right? Like, we don't know. So how would we know that any bit of it is true? I kind of put that on there as a third option just to kind of see if people would click that. Like, yeah, I feel like some of it's true. Sammy T. Mafia brought up such a fantastic point last night, not just with the surveillance, but you want to know what she said? And I caught this when I made the quick cut. Sammy T. Mafia said, why won't they release the entire report when it comes to phone pings or other dynamics of the case of Ethan and Xana's location? But they'll release autopsy reports. So if they're so worried about the public not being able to handle it, what could be worse than reading about the number of wounds, the exact wounds, the knives that are going into them? How is a cell phone ping report, essentially, I know I just kind of butchered the name of the report, but you guys get my point. How is cell phones more intrusive than a damn autopsy report. And when I heard that, I just started thinking, I'm like, why did they release the autopsy report and not others? Other reports that are way less intrusive. So they're fighting to not allow people to see the crime scene photos, but they'll release the report. However, we can't see if Brian Koberger was exactly at 1122, and the lack of evidence, they say is evidence, and it just proves guilt in the narrative and with the state. So think about that for a second. Why won't they show us cell phone reports, but they'll show us autopsy reports? Doesn't that make anybody scratch their head? Huh. Why show us that? Why not show us the cell phones? Why not show us where they were? But we'll tell you how they died with every wound. Come on. That doesn't fit any pattern in this case. And until she said that, it didn't click. Can I get ones in the chat if you guys are following me on that? Is that a little bit odd? And then you listen to how many times I was trying to count when I was rewatching the interview today, how many times Cy Ray had said something along the lines of, I don't remember, or that's just not public knowledge. I got to like 6 or 7. So let's just release the most gruesome stabbing in recent history that's been in a big time headline spot, a big spotlight. How many docuseries, how many books? We'll release the autopsy report, but you can't see Ethan and Xana's cell phone. You can't see Kaylee's cell phone. You can't see Maddie's cell phone. We'll release some text messages that make no sense with Dylan and Bethany, and Dylan and Bethany will look extremely guilty to the people that have read the public reports, or they look like they certainly may have had a hand in it. You got an author who's ex-CIA coming on and saying, there's something weird about that spare bedroom. There's a hookup, but just not that combination. And they're just peddling to all of these documents that have been publicly released. But then you listen to Turvey and you listen to Cy Ray. What documents has the public gotten? Because apparently all of the real information isn't public. Their words. Really makes you scratch your head, as I said. Let me go ahead and get the link pinned in the chat for everybody. Just as a reminder, if you do decide to call in, don't have YouTube open. Don't have it on speakerphone. If you're watching me on your TV, mute your TV. Your face will not be on camera, and it will only be your voice. So as I pin that link, please go ahead, do all the things. Hit like, hit subscribe. If you'd like to scan this QR code so that when the live concludes, all you got to do is go to your Photos app, tap that, and then the merch store, the Spotify playlist, the Discord, and my TikTok links will be brought up. As well as tomorrow, I will be doing a Hive Plus War Room. Very excited. I have been trying to do Accomplished Days slide, the slides that she sent me on her theories, and it's just been such a busy week. So I will be showing some of those tomorrow, which I'm very curious to see everybody's thoughts on those, amongst a lot of other stuff too. I got a ton of Hive Mind finds. And here is the link in the chat now. Let me just get that pinned. All right. That link should be pinned, everybody. You should be able to see that here in a second. Let me say what's up as the backstage fills up. Dino and the hizzy for shizzy getting rizzy, and the Lizzie when I'm busy, and the Mizzy getting dizzy, and the kizzy to the wizzy for shizzy. That was just a lot. That was a lot. I couldn't even read as fast as my mouth was moving. Spaghetti, what's going on? I am the booger on the Resolute desk. Whoa. What's up, Birdie? How are you doing? Hot Mess Jess, Danger Zone, Mariko, Karki, 8359, Indy Lizzie, Crime Junkie, Keitha, Social Glow, Jeff H. You know what, Jeff? I saw a very kind comment that you left the Hive saying, I'll be on Birdie's channel because they're all mature enough to handle me, which is kind of funny that the dichotomy of that comment is incredible. But what's going on, Jeff? Smiling Sleuth, Eddie, Luna, shout out to the best mods on YouTube, Luna Bliss, formerly known as Back, Discord Dog, and the UFO Dog, Griffaholic, Growth Redacted, Twisted, Timo, Corgi Mama, Riz Fizz, Just Do It, High Knee Titties, said he framed a lot. He said framed a lot too. Yes, he did. Thank you for the super chat, High Knee Titties. It's Leslie. How are you doing? It's just Kara 24. Splendid Melancholy. Audrey Nicole. Jeep Girl. Indy Lizzie. TK. Firefly. Rebecca. Yipsy. Gecko. Tripsy Turvy. Alley Unredacted. Texas Teacher. Batshit Crazy. Hot Mess Jess. It's the trauma. Thanks, Mom. Jessica, how are you doing? Not as dumb as you look. Indy, I think I already said it. What's up to Indy Lizzie, but what's up times two? The one that fits. Beautiful Disaster. Rose. UK Karen. And Shirley. Splendid Melancholy. I think times two again. Boomer, what's going on, man? Good to see a piece of April. And Aaron Riley Creates. Good to see you, Bunny Lover, Philly Girl, and True to It. Chef MKE 1208. What up? What up? Chaos Jess and Art, and Julie Clemens, Mindful Haze, Mom Rad. I'm in my mom's car. All righty, Hive. So, again, for this evening, I would like to hear your thoughts on the Cy-Ray interview amongst the other experts being Dr. Turvey, and we're going to loop in Chris Wickham just because of his background with the FBI and the role that he played with writing Broken Plea. Amongst any other expert that you see fit to bring up in this case, I would include the attorneys in that as well. Now, without further ado, I think this is the first time that Shawley Redacted is not the first backstage. So you got to be quicker than that. What's that? There was like a commercial where somebody would like have a fishing pole with $1 bill and they would just be like, you got to be quicker than that. But Shawley, don't worry. I will be getting to you shortly. And I have been practicing my terrible British accent to just make it a little less terrible. Okay. First up, we got Could Have Been 4 a.m. How are you doing?
Good, Birdie. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been tuning in for the past 2 weeks. I've been taking a break, but I'm back and I'm fired up. But
Good.
First things first, I want to say I did get your shirt. It's my favorite
nice.
sleep. It's my favorite sleep shirt. I had to show that. And then
it.
second thing I want to say is that Cy-Ray can kick rocks with open-toed shoes every single day.
This is the type of energy. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so mad. I feel like I came back at the right time because I'm hot. I'm hot.
Yes. And for those that couldn't see, Could Have Been 4 a.m. The shirt that they were holding up was the anti-mainstream media shirt, which again, shout out to Luna, incredible design. And then what I said earlier that drop the gloves, I think that the analogy of kicking rocks with open-toed shoes
every day.
He probably looks
every day.
Cy-Ray probably wears like Birkenstocks with white
high socks. Yep.
Totally
I see that too. So I honestly I couldn't even get through the whole interview because it just had me so fired up. I have some notes. I don't know if it's going to make sense, but I tried to have it make sense. So one of the important things that I took away from his interview was he was saying that there's so much critical evidence, and especially when it comes to the 4 a.m. I think it was at 148, in the video, he says you can tell, what did he say specifically? That within the 12-hour period, it all comes together in a 15-minute window when it comes to the text, the DoorDash, and the audio, which is just baffling to me because Kaylee and Maddie, they both stopped their phone data, and he's supposedly a data expert, ends at 2:53, after they are calling Jack. And then you hear all the screams and everything. So how he can say that is just crazy. It makes me wonder, it's okay, is there phone data that we don't know? But then with seeing the timeline from the book, from Chris Whitcomb's book, it's why wouldn't the prosecution put that in there? Because that would help their case to show that they were active on their phones after that time to prove that window. And even the custody queens even asked at 148, I think it was Sam, she said, okay, with the white car, with it speeding away, it has to be his car, because if it's not him, wouldn't that make the timeline flexible to when the crimes actually occurred? And he just danced around that question. As Turvey said, people turn themselves into a pretzel, and that's
man, you bring up some really good points. One of the things that I'm kind of taking away, not just from what you're saying right now in your call in, but also the comments, is that the delivery of how he's saying it is equally as bad as what he's saying. Like,
Yes.
one of the things that stuck out to me, I had posted a short or a TikTok right before, about an hour before this stream just went live. And it was when he scoffed and kind of laughed and chuckled. And it's like, turns out her dream was pretty accurate.
Oh my
And I'm-
God.
What world are we living in?
Seriously. And then also another point that I had about like his interview where he's talking about the sheath. And like this is just where it's like he's a cop and it's just like the blue backing the blue like so bad where it's just like you can't even like I'm really trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that like he just can't comprehend like someone like because he couldn't do this where he can't understand like someone in his field can't. I personally disagree. But where he's talking about the sheath and he goes, we make errors. And then at 2:12:08 in the Custody Queen's interview, he says he's talking about how for like they ask him about like the sheath, like the placement. And he was like, well, like it could have been like under the sheet and then they pulled it up and then they just like moved it back, but they didn't write it down. This is a quadruple homicide of college students. Like you don't think that if that was something discussed that they would write that down? Like it just triggers me in so many different ways.
So,
And then yeah.
well, let me just ask you this then. After watching this interview, and this
Mhm.
is probably a question that I'm going to try to ask more people. So, after watching this interview, has your opinion on the case changed? Meaning, we've now had
Mm.
multiple people, and you can't forget Turvey said similar things too. Turvey would say things like, "I don't want to talk about that." Like he would just say it in his own way, and
I
he'd be
think
like,
it's
"Why are we
because
talking
of
about that?"
the NDA. And I think it's like at the end of the day, like they're all experts, but like for the fact that Cy Ray is like a data expert and Lana has said this like repeatedly, like what was he shown? So like yes, he's like an expert in all these other ways, but it's just like the information that he was shown. I think he just had an assumption and he even said like in the beginning he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen all the data dumps. Like I never heard about that." So how can you really have an opinion on a case of things that you don't even know about?
It has to be that there is a completely different series of event occurring behind closed doors. Like, I don't know how else to say it. How are you going to not be aware of a lot of these things and a lot of the questions that have been major topics of discussions on
Mhm.
YouTube in this Idaho 4 community, meaning, Lana, the Povs, the Dagos, the Custody Queens, right? A lot of topics of conversations that have been brought up many times with
Yeah.
documents, screens shared. I'm not aware of any of that. What? What do you
And
mean? So
also
does
it's
that
just like
how?
what is this overwhelming evidence like that he keeps talking about? It's like, oh, 10 out of 10 times he'd be convicted. Okay, then why did it not go to trial if it's 10 out of 10 times? Like, what is this evidence that we are not seeing? Because, like, tell me, please,
Right.
because they really think that us as a community that we want a murderer out on the streets. Not saying that Brian Koberg didn't play a part, but like there's more to it than that. So it's just what tell us this overwhelming evidence. If it's so overwhelming, put it out to the public so then it would put us all to rest.
Yes.
It's so freaking ridiculous. It
And they,
makes me so mad.
well, I feel you on that. You got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just honestly, all these people can kick rocks in open-toed shoes like every single day. And the family members, I really hope and pray that like I can't imagine what they're going through. Like I seriously cannot. Like I have my own situation going on, like when you're so caught up in emotions, but something like to this magnitude, I really hope one day they realize like, you know what? Things aren't making sense. It's not that like you would want the right person in jail or if there were multiple people involved like you want them locked up with it and honestly all the investigators I think they should all be locked up too.
Well said, because it certainly is looking like a massive cover up with
In
some
my
sort of
opinion.
crime. Yes, all allegedly.
In my
Well,
opinion.
Well, could have been 4 a.m. Great to hear from you. Glad you're back. Everybody needs to
Yes.
take a break every now and again. Thank you for the call and also supporting the Hive with the Anti-Mainstream Media Club shirt. You have a great weekend.
Yes, of course. It's a great shirt. Love
it.
y'all, and I'm glad to be back.
Love it. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome first call to start. You guys know me. If you've tuned in for a while, I can go out there. And it just seems like all of the things that I've maybe said and we've conversed about very early on, back in the beginning days of YouTube, which is forever ago now, it seems, that is a stretch. That's a conspiracy. It's just all getting a little bit closer. It's all just a little bit less of a stretch. Logically, I'm going to take Cy Ray's words. Logically, think about, why wouldn't you just show us the real evidence if it points to the guy that's in prison? Why? I literally have one answer for that. 2. It doesn't exist, or it's different. Because if it was him, with how much they've dogged Kohberger in the media, they would be leading with the absolute worst thing. Don't forget that. If this was such a strong and straightforward case, what prosecutor wouldn't want to go out at the end of their career and just hang this dude high and dry? But nope, not this case. Okay, next up, we got Jesse Ray. How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing okay. I just got back from vacation today, so like I'm freaking tired.
What a day to get back to vacation. Any relaxation you did, I'm sure if you watched the interview, went right out the window.
I didn't even watch it.
Oh. Well,
I
maybe
haven't
if
watched
you're
it yet.
relaxed, maybe take a couple days. Maybe watch it on like Sunday or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it this weekend though.
So what do you got for us tonight?
I definitely don't think we're gonna get the truth. I just feel like that they just keep on giving us random shit that doesn't make any sense.
Well, so now let me ask you this, Jesse, and also just kind of as a quick announcement for the Hive, I'm going to try to not get super stuck on like very long calls. It's not personal to anybody. And Jesse, if you have me on speaker, can you turn me off?
I'm on my phone. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, okay. You're good. I just hear a little echo.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. So, okay, I just changed the setting. Let me ask you this though. Why don't you think we're going to get the truth? What is the main reason? Do you think that it's because Brian Kohberger did it, he didn't do it, or it doesn't exist?
I definitely don't think he did it, but I think it's just a big cover up in my opinion. The whole case. It's just there's so many like components that just don't make any sense. Sorry, my nose is like really stuffed up.
Oh, you're good.
So
You're
I
good.
can't breathe. So
We can hear you.
it just really doesn't make any sense. It just can't. I can't freaking think.
Well, you got the vacation brain, maybe some jet lag, but it's always great to hear from you. And if you got any final thoughts, let us have it.
How is Louis?
The Russian oligarch, my cat, is great. He's doing good.
Oh, I saw 2 golden doodles yesterday. And he was so cute.
Well, it's always great when you do have a chance to see a random dog. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Beautiful
Yep, and I
dogs.
just love petting them.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I hope you have a great weekend, Jesse.
Okay, you too.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's funny. Okay. Next up, we got, I'm excited for this call. We got Matt. Matt, how are you doing, bro?
Good. What's going on, Bertie?
Not a whole lot. Have you had a chance to watch this interview with Mr. Ray?
I have. And let me just start this by saying Cy Ray's a wanker.
Yes.
A pompous, self-important wanker.
Yes. Yes. I saw a comment earlier that said, Cy Ray's God. Just ask him. I'm like, that's perfect. Oh,
exactly.
man. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, I've got a couple of rabbit holes I want to kind of go down with you. I'm kind of a theory guy, and so I've got a couple of new theories. One of which I think is more likely than the other. So the first is the Idaho murders were two separate but interwoven crimes. Sort of follow me here. Dylan and her boyfriend Quinn supposedly may have been using the King Roadhouse as a safe house and distribution point for drugs. And there's also these rumors going around that Kaylee may have been a CI and was potentially singing like a canary to the authorities about stuff going on in the house. And Quinn, the boyfriend, apparently had connections through his dad to the Aryan Brotherhood. So you've got that. Then you've got Sigma Chi and potentially other frats and sororities. They had a beef with Ethan and by extension Xana for reasons that, potentially he was hurting the frat with his GPA. He had bad blood with the two Davids, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got Dylan and Quinn that wanted to eliminate the potential snitch. So, she invited Kaylee back to town to be her plus one for that sorority event for a reason. And the frat wanted Ethan gone for the reasons that I stated earlier. And both groups knew of the other's situation, and it became a case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they decided to work together. So Dylan and Quinn and potentially the Aryan Brotherhood folks did support and logistics for the frat while they eliminated Ethan and Xana. And then the frat did the same for Dylan, Quinn, and the Aryan Brotherhood while they eliminated Kaylee. Maddie was basically collateral damage during Kaylee's murder. She was just kind of wrong place, wrong time. And this would explain the additional brutality on Kaylee. A message was being sent. Snitches get stitches, but worse. And both groups worked together in the cleanup. Bethany knows what happened, but is terrified that the responsible parties will get her if she talks. And for good reason. If you're dealing with the Aryan Brotherhood and that kind of thing, they have reach. And, so I mean, I'm not condoning her not doing the right thing, but potentially there's reasons there.
Well,
so
I want to ask you a quick question on that. So the two separate events, how would you categorize that, not to put you on the spot, as far as the timeline goes?
I think that Ethan and Xana were killed first. And basically, so they were eliminated, and then, what's her face? Kaylee and Maddie come back to the house after their little time at the grub truck. And then, the other half of the operation takes place. So what do you think? Any thoughts?
Well, I think that, so rather straightforward, just with the two separate events timeline. I'm following you on that. When it comes to Cy Ray now and kind of understanding that what he has said and what he has shown and what's apparently, at least in the public documents, would open up a gap or allow people to theorize on exactly that or close to what you just said. What's your take on him saying, that's not, I mean, there's things you don't know. How did that rub you? That rubbed me totally the wrong way.
Well, it rubbed me the wrong way too. And I've got a second theory I want to bounce off of you, and it kind of makes some of that possibly make a little more sense.
Okay.
So this is kind of a side quest theory. This is not necessarily what I think actually happened, but it's worth considering. going on the theory that JJ keeps alluding to, that BK may potentially be a Fed and the whole thing is part of some larger national security level operation, perhaps due to some sort of cartel involvement. This that would actually make a lot of stuff make sense. Potentially they went to Koberger ahead of time and basically said, you're going to be a patsy, but you won't be in for very long. In fact, we may make some arrests at the same time we arrest you, and we'll wrap this whole thing up quickly, and you'll be exonerated. And that could explain Koberger's rumored offhand comment while he was being arrested about whether anyone else had been arrested. And, and it would also explain the constant hammering that Koberger's the guy, and why they tore the house down so quickly, and why so many obvious pieces of evidence were not tested or brought really front and center into the case. They have Koberger in custody now, and he's made this plea, and he's in for life due to this plea deal. And they're continuing to publicly build this narrative that he's the guy. And I'm wondering, if it is to potentially give the cartel folks confidence that they are not on the radar, while behind the scenes an airtight case is being built and preparations are being made to potentially roll up the cartel cells involved in this. But also perhaps something has gone wrong with that case that they were building against the cartels. Maybe somebody within the organization got wind of what was going on, got a little spooked and went to ground. And it could, at least partially explain why the Cy Rays of the world are all doing the trust me bro stuff. They want the Brian didn't do it folks to shut up and go away, because really the more of that happens, potentially the more jeopardy it could be putting a possible operation against the cartel in, because if more and more comes out proving basically that Koberger's not the guy, then, it could put potentially this cartel operation on shaky ground. Like I said, I don't think this is the case, but, it's a rabbit hole that occurred to me. But, regarding Cy Ray, at least to my knowledge, the gag order on the case has been lifted. And he keeps talking about there's stuff I can't talk about. Well, why can't he talk about it if there's no more gag order?
Well, and that's just exactly it. And I wanted to bounce a couple of questions off of you pertaining to that last theory, because what I think people have to understand is there are a lot of examples. JJ, because you brought him up, I'll use just the example that we've said a handful of times on the stream, is that you never let a good tragedy go to waste. Well,
yep.
Think about if you have 4 college young adults that are stabbed to death, and you have a month with countless tips, what you could be doing with casting a net far and wide and looking for cellular devices or patterns or other people that are close to that house in the areas. God knows what you could uncover, because you're already going to know what it's going to look like because of past cases and other patterns in either drug trafficking, human trafficking, etc. You get my point. And are you following me, Matt, with that?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So now let's bring in Cy Ray. 2 things have stuck out to me, and I'm very curious what the chat thinks about this and what you think about this, Matt. And that is, Cy Ray has never done this for the defense before. However, he said that when he found out what the case was, it was going to be detrimental to him, but he had a moral obligation, and this was bigger than him. And he felt that he had to do this. You know who else said that? Chris Whitcomb. I just find it so weird that this is the one case that Cy Ray does for the defense. He's saying the things that he's saying, and he said, I have a moral obligation because this is bigger than me. And then Chris Whitcomb, who never did true crime, said somebody approached me, and after hearing about it, I felt as if this was something I had to do. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that does not sound like somebody just brought you a case file of a small town college stabbing.
Yep. Absolutely. So one more very quick thing. I know I'm taking up some time here, Bertie, but I've
You're
got
good.
one more thing, and I promise I'll be quick. So, as I've mentioned previously when we've talked, kind of in a previous life, many moons ago, I was a firefighter paramedic.
Okay.
And I do find it very odd that apparently fire and EMS were never dispatched to the scene when the call came in as an unconscious person. On a call like that, speaking from experience, fire EMS would have been primary on the dispatch. Police might have been secondary depending on the situation, but police may not have even been initially dispatched on an unconscious person. In the systems that I worked in, an engine and an ambulance would have both been dispatched to the scene. And to not dispatch, fire and EMS would really be a serious deviation from protocol. And to me, this lends credence to the idea that by the time the 911 call was made, the powers that be within law enforcement were already aware of what had happened. And the 911 center supervisor had been looped in and made aware of what was going on. And basically, when the call came in, they basically instructed the dispatcher to only send PD on this incident when it came in. It's the only thing that makes sense.
It's true because, well, and there's people like yourself and Izzy Pop and a handful of other people that I know that have called in as EMS folks or have worked in being, in the field of being a first responder. And there's just always a very simple one-off reason of well, where I live, sometimes that happened, right? And it was the opposite way. However, EMS is turned away and there are multiple cops entering that house before EMS ever gets there.
Yep.
That's crazy.
It stinks to high heaven is what it does, Bertie.
Absolutely, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no,
I appreciate the call, bro. And as always, those were great theories, man. You laid that out good. I know the chat is a big fan of you, and I always look forward to seeing your name popping up backstage, man. So ideally, I'll talk to you next Friday. You'll have a couple more theories, and we could hash those out as well.
Sounds good, man. Have a good week, and give my regards to Mrs. Birdie.
Absolutely, bro. You have a good one.
Yep.
Cheers. Peace. Don't go anywhere, Hive. I have to turn my damn air on. I need to be studied for how I forget to do that every time. All righty. Next up, we have Miss Shirley Redacted. How are you doing?
Mr. Birdie, I feel as though you are shaken and stirred this evening.
I'm
not surprised.
I gotta tell you something. I felt a little bit weird starting the call in without you being first.
I felt weird too. It was very bizarre. I was like, "Where's the love, man?"
I didn't see. I had to scroll down, and then I was like, "Oh," and I think you were like, "What are you, third or fourth?" But they were on it tonight. Other people were on it. They were like, maybe coming. Oh, that's funny.
As you can tell, we watched Siray. So I haven't really been doing much on the Idaho 4 this week. I don't know if you guys get the English news there at all, but we've had a bit of a major news thing going on ourselves this week. So I haven't really been doing much, but I did catch Psyop Ray earlier. And I'm very perturbed by a couple of the things that I heard, to be honest with you. I don't know if you want to, you don't have to, but I've got a couple of times here of things that he said that I'm very confused on. So at 53 minutes and 29 seconds into the stream, he was talking about the phone mapping and stuff like that, and he said Michael. He said you know, all the data that they've got on Michael. I mean Brian, and I was
Wait,
like,
what? When did you
yeah.
say that?
53 minutes and 29 seconds into the stream, and Brian's dad's called Michael, and I was thinking about this the other day, and this is 100% my own brain being an absolute dipshit. But you know when a synapse fires and you're like, where did that come from? Maybe there's something to that. And I said to my husband, what if it was actually a family member of Brian? And I don't mean like, you know, a distant forebrother, distant relative, blah, blah, blah. But what if it was like, you know, his sister or something? It would make sense that he's shutting up because he wants to protect them. And then he said Michael at 53 minutes and 29 seconds into the stream. And I was like, what? So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm going to play that right now. And you
Mm.
know what? I got to tell you, Hive, I just saw somebody pop backstage, and I'm going to bring them up next because something inside of my gut tells me that we're going to want to hear from this person. So,
Ooh, exciting.
all righty, let's see this. So this is 53 seconds and what?
53 minutes and 29 seconds into the stream.
Okay. I'm going to go back. I'll let it kind of catch up to.
Mhm.
And if anybody's trying to join, the backstage is full right now. There's
15 of us.
15 people. Yeah. So, okay, here we go. Let's listen to this.
It's on mute.
Can you hear it?
Nope.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I'm glad you said that. 1 second.
But I want to frame this
Can you now? Okay.
Yeah.
correctly, where some people will probably immediately go, well, they're trying to hide it. The problem with this case is when you look at all the evidence, it changes and it doesn't get weaker. It gets really strong. So, you know, I'm hesitant to say that it's intentional because then you're going to have to convince me why law enforcement would intentionally not try to present the best evidence in this case. And I'm speaking firsthand about this, looking at the records. When you look at 6 months worth of data, which is how much data they obtained on Michael or on Brian Koberger's phone, when you look at that 6.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Yes. You know what's weird about it too is what in the world would Michael Koberger be on Cyray's mind for?
Exactly. That's what we were saying is nobody mentioned a Michael. He hasn't been like, if you watch the 3.5 hours, the word, there is no name. Michael is not said once. All of a sudden he says it. And I know that some people might be like, you know, oh, well, you know, you can say things wrong. This man does not misspeak. He is very calculated in the way he speaks. He is, in my opinion, one of the most manipulative human beings I've ever seen. As you know, I have a psychology background, and watching this man, this is one of the most manipulative, and I don't even want to say the word human being I've ever encountered.
Wow.
And I'm a pleasant person, and he has got me pissed.
Well, you know, that's very interesting, Shawley. And for somebody that has a brain like myself, and I'm assuming like many in here, I already know that at some point, Matt had said a side quest. I'm going to go on a little side quest for some other Matthews, and it'll probably lead to nowhere. But I know that if I don't, I will not be able to get that thought out of my head now. So thank you for the side quest project, because that will certainly be a rabbit hole I'll be going down. One's in the chat. If you might take a couple minutes and look into that too, if there's any other Michaels out there rather than Michael Koberger, because what a odd Freudian slip, to say the least.
I've done a bit of research, and since I watched that, and there's no other Michaels that I can find that are even, peripherally involved in this. And as you said, rightfully, and it's the first thing that we said, he wasn't mentioned. How was he on his brain at that moment? It was very weird. The next thing that he said that really bothered me was quite a long way into it, but he said that they used AI to build the DNA profile biomarkers. He actually said that. He said, it's like, what? So he even admitted there was a very, very small amount of, biomarkers. We used AI to build that profile up. And it's like, are you actually insane? It
It's not going
was
to
like
stop
over
either.
half of it. It's mad. And then you've got the DM phone records when Kristen mentioned Dylan being on Indeed, and he was like, well, the information you've got is incorrect. No, they FOIA'd it. It is not incorrect. It's there. She was on Indeed after having apparently seen this person in the house. I don't know if you picked up on this. I'm sure you did, because we think very similarly. But all the way through, he was implying stalking and then going back on himself and saying there wasn't any stalking, and then implying stalking again, and then going back on himself. And it was just, even for my autistic brain, it was like a game of Pong in my head. It was horrifying. Yeah, exactly. That's what my husband just said. Every time there was pushback on it, it was like, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I agree with you. And then a minute later, like, it was just so weird. And like the IgG thing, he was like licking their asses. And then, I'm completely against IgG. I'm sorry. He's really got me annoyed. You won't hear this from me normally, but he has really pissed me off. And then that whole other thing, there's not very much more. I do apologize, but he was saying that over 100 slides of AT&T connections in his report were concealed, his words, concealed by a special agent. 92% of his report into the AT&T connections were concealed by a special agent. What the hell?
Wow.
Yeah, and Kristen was like, what? That was a whole thing. The allocution thing, I'm not even going to go into that because whatever.
Well, look up IRC 33.
Yes,
did
I
anybody
did.
else too?
Yes.
Again, my brain, I heard 33, and it's just the way I can't help it. Hive, I can't help it. I heard 33, and I'm just like, of course,
Of course it would be
probably
33.
could mean nothing, but in my head, I still had to have that.
1122 33. Yeah, it makes sense. But the biggest bombshell for me personally was that I felt a validation. And I'll explain to you why. And if you could do me one final kindness and skip forward to 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 47 seconds.
Look at you.
Oh yeah, I was very
here we go.
unhappy.
Hand, because it's setting on her bed frame in between the wall and her bed where things get captured like debris, and really going to write a book and make a claim that Ethan has the suspect's clump of hair in his hand. Like, holy shit, what are we talking about? This.
He just said Turvey wrote the book.
Hold on.
Bed frame in between the wall and her bed where things get captured like debris, and really going to write a book and make a claim that Ethan has.
How long have I said? How long have I said that Turvey wrote that book?
Well done.
He just said it. and to answer your question, Brandon, I only watched it once.
Wow.
But my goodness, when he said that, I was like, yes, I knew it.
Oh, I would too. You have been calling that for a long time. That's back. That was one of the first things you said right after Broken Plea, is you had said just the tone that it's written in, and how much, I think you said something along the lines of like how much Whitcomb referred to Turvey. And
yeah, it's his body language as well. Because as I say, again, psychology background, you watch the way he speaks about it, you listen to the way he speaks about it, you read the book, and my goodness, it was so obvious from day one. Yeah, that was the other thing that we noticed as well. And I saw someone saying about Kristen's body language during it. Every time that he he was put on the back foot. He was shifting in his chair and everything, and then like yeah, clicking his pen. I noticed this is another psychology thing, but when people lie, there are certain tells you can pick up on, and the stress response of clicking his pen. Every time he said something that I knew was false, he was clicking his pen.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah. And I just thought, you absolute wanker. Yeah, Matt stole the words out of my mouth because I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go a bit easy on silly, willy, dilly wanker tonight. And I'm going to, Cy is clearly the head of the fucking wankers. And I can't. Sean.
Well, I got to tell you, Sean, that's one of the, I got to say, from a standpoint of attention to detail, that is one of the best catches for only watching it one time, noticing that he said, Turvey goes and writes a book. I mean, I got to give it to you. I'll give you another goat for that because that's a phenomenal catch.
Yeah, I'm very much going to be looking into Psyop Ray because
somebody said wanker in chief.
He is the wanker in chief. You are very correct. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a proper deep dive into this man because if he thinks that I'm going to, I'll just go do this little interview and then everybody back down. No, you have completely lit a fire in my belly. And as my husband will tell you, when a fire is lit, there is nothing that's going to bring me down. And this man is the most manipulative piece of anything I have experienced.
Wow. Well, hey, I said drop the gloves. Tonight would be the night to do it. And Shawley, I appreciate the call as always. I hope you and your man have an awesome weekend. And I will talk to you next Friday.
You're very welcome. Love to you. Love to Mrs. Birdie. Love to baby Birdie. Everyone's a wanker.
Cheers. See ya.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, when things like what is about to happen, it's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And I am trying to hold back my excitement, and I'm not going to be able to do so much longer. So our next caller is actually on the screen right now in the bottom right-hand corner. We have Ron. How are you doing, man?
Hey, Bernie,
can you hear me?
I can see you. I can't hear you. I can hear the last caller.
You got to drop out and come back. How about now? Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, we're going to have Ron on. Okay. We're going to have Ron on. Ron is going to be in the Hive. Ron, just try to rejoin. And I'm going to give that just a couple seconds. So please, a little bit of patience backstage. Here he is already. Look at that. He's on it. Ron, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You're a little bit muffled.
All right. Let me try this.
Now you got to unmute yourself and you'll be good.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Oh, it shouldn't be that hard.
No, you're good though, man. I got stoked when I just saw your name pop up backstage. And let me just firstly say, I had said this last night. You and Kristen and Sam did a great job. You guys all stayed very professional. Not that I'm surprised because you guys are obviously professional lawyers in your real life, but man, I'm just going to kind of give you the floor. And if you want to give us a little bit of the inside baseball as far as what that was like talking with Cy Ray, either maybe backstage, during, after.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, let me just apologize for not being Lana. I understand everybody was hoping that it was Lana. So sorry, you just have me.
I like, as far as just like the interview style or whatever, everybody interviews differently. I thought it was great that you guys gave them, you gave him the opportunity to just talk.
Yeah. No, I meant in the chat. My wife is listening in the other room. She said everybody was guessing that it was Lana. So sorry, guys.
I got you. No. People are hyped for you, man.
So yeah, we actually had a 3-hour conversation with him like last month sometime. And so we've kind of known for a while that it was going to be controversial because he didn't hold back to us. We were a little surprised, although we were reading. We got a copy of his book, and we saw in there that he said he thought Brian was guilty from the beginning, and so that was kind of interesting to me coming from a defense expert. But he's so strong on how poor that the FBI did on that cell tower stuff. But
Wow.
you know what's he kept saying that the evidence was overwhelming against Brian, and we weren't seeing it, and we didn't in our first conversation, just the pre meeting, we didn't really push very much on that, but we certainly planned to, and I thought we did. I wanted to get, well, what is the evidence? And
Right.
I still don't know what it is. Um, Now, we like him. We think he was, and we do this a lot. We are always deposing the other side's experts, the other side, other parties, dealing with attorneys, and we can kind of separate it a little bit. So we're on good terms with him. We thought he was a great interview, and he answered all of our questions. I mean, not always in the way that we were hoping,
Right.
and there were some things that he wouldn't go into. But he was, yeah, it was really interesting. That 3.5 hours flew by.
Well, so I was just gonna say, I find it interesting that behind closed doors, he's also very adamant about the guilt. And you just said you found it strange, like he's the
Yeah,
defense expert. I
yeah,
I wanted to get your thoughts because one of the things that you said that I had also brought up last night, which I thought was one of the best questions of the interview, Cy
mhm,
had kind of talked himself into this topic about the evidence, and I know throughout the interview he said there's a lot of stuff the public hasn't seen, but you kind of brought it
mm,
all full circle, and you said, well, there's the three pillars, and you said it's the Elantra, the DNA, the sheath. Does the
yeah.
evidence that the public hasn't seen fall into any of those three buckets of those three pillars? And he said no.
I think I know what he's talking about, and I don't think it's as big a deal as he seems to think. Some comments, and I don't know if it was comments he made during the interview or before. I think he's talking about the stuff that was going on up at Washington State with Brian, the stuff that's in that Washington State lawsuit, that's either talked about in that or alluded to. He seems
Mm,
to think there's a lot of character evidence and stuff about Brian. I mean, we know that he's got a drug past. We know that there have been issues, but for someone who supposedly has been planning these murders, which he would have had to, it's weird that it would be just spur of the moment. um, there is such an utter lack of any communication between Brian and any of the victims, and that's what kind of shocked me and why I was surprised at how strong he was about about Brian's guilt. Because in his report, and we were fortunate to that came out shortly before the interview, so we read it. I think
yep.
Kristen read it 3 times. I think I read it twice. um, but he was very clear in there. There was no communication, no instance where Brian's phone and any of the victims' phones were at the same tower, were off of the same tower. There was no instance where they ever communicated with the same person or entity, other than one time when Brian called a U-Haul that one of the victims had called at some point. There's no evidence that they were ever in the same place or frequented the same place. I mean, he said that's, and I think we were able to get that out of him in the interview, that that's true. There was no evidence of that whatsoever. And so for that, to me, that's a bigger problem than any of the evidence that is in favor of Brian being guilty. That's a bigger problem for the prosecution because there's no stalking, nothing close to stalking in there.
Well, I want to get your thoughts on from a lawyer's perspective. I love how you brought up you're deposing people all the time and you're able to kind of separate it out a little bit. I think that that's probably just a learned skill and part of the profession that you are. There had to have been a couple of moments just having previously, done streams with you, Sam, and Kristen, where I know enough about you three, I feel like, and just the way that this case is talked about, where you kind of had to at least be scratching your head on the inside, like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And when you're a lawyer and you hear that, like if you were deposing it, I think Sam did a really good job at saying, like, well, if you're saying was it, but we're not seeing it, well, then we would consider that a lack of evidence, and a lack of evidence is not evidence, or something along those lines. What do you typically do if this is in a court, I guess in a court setting? What would be the best way to handle something like this if those were the answers they were giving and it doesn't necessarily match? And again, he's on the defense side, so
this is more like a deposition, which is gathering information. Basically, we're just trying to get him to find out what he's going to say. What does he say?
Okay.
And it's not necessarily to say, oh, you're wrong, or to cross-examine him on anything. For cross-examination, we would be prepared. And our goal in cross-examination would be to make him look like an idiot.
Right.
That's not a very good goal for an interview show.
Right.
To make the other side look like an idiot.
I agree with that. And especially with this is like one of the first times that I think he's really gone on a show in a very long time. I think it was a very smart play, as frustrating as it was to kind of have to listen to some of the repetitive answers or the ducking of the answers. You guys gave him the opportunity to answer the questions however he was going to.
Yeah, I have been harder on deponents in the past. And that's because I have a specific goal for that. We wanted to ask him his position, get it all out there, try to explore some of the things that we could. And at the very least, it's out there so that now we can all discuss it and dissect it and everything. So, it would be, we had a limited amount of time. We had 3 of us there asking questions. And someone who certainly is willing and has the skill to talk and discuss these things. So our major goal was to kind of explore some of his opinions on this, especially this, how strong he was on how poorly and some of the misinformation and the withholding stuff that the FBI had. And then we also wanted to spend some time exploring Brian's guilt and to kind of push him on some of those things. And so we pushed a little bit. But most of all, we wanted to get his story out there, get out there what he wanted to say.
Well, I'll echo it and repeat it again. I think you guys did a great job. Truly showed some class and some professionalism. And my last question for you, Rod, and by the way, I would like to get you and Kristen and Sam onto the stream. I'll shoot you guys a text and I'll just make a note of that, because I'd like to not only talk about this, but just, it's been a while since we've all kind of just had a roundtable discussion, us four. I saw somebody have a really good question. And you, from what you've researched in this case, when you hear somebody like Cy Ray say 10 out of 10 courts in America would have convicted him, what went through your head?
He is very certain of that. And we were actually today, and it'll air on Sunday. We were on with Andrew and Yoli.
Okay.
And I mentioned this there. A partner at a former law firm once said, there in court, there's a 20% chance of anything happening. I mean, you're never going to be 10 out of 10 on anything in court, whether it's in front of a judge or with the judge's ruling or with, especially with a jury. And it's amazing sometimes the things that a jury will say. For instance, my first boss was a personal injury attorney, a trial lawyer, and he had a case where he put on his case, and the jury came back and they found for his client, they found for the plaintiff, and they awarded $0. And he was like, "What did I do wrong?" The attorneys are able to talk to the jury afterwards. So he went and talked to the jury, and they were, hey, congratulations. How much does your client get? He's like, "0. You gave him 0."
Oh no.
And so it's you don't. I did a few jury trials in my day, and I hate them because of the uncertainty. So to say 10 out of 10 juries would um, find him guilty, I don't believe that about anything. There's always going to be a chance, which is why I think uh, Brian considered taking the plea, because there is a chance that he was going to be convicted, especially when they were not giving up documents and dumping things on him at the last minute. I mean, I can't imagine getting a huge document dump like they did, like what, a week before trial.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. It's
Yeah,
such a mess, dude. It's such a
yeah,
mess.
yeah.
And I just want to say, I'm going to shoot you guys a text.
Hmm.
This was great. I appreciate you
Oh,
calling in,
sure.
man. I got a lot of questions for you. And like I said, I would love to have you, Kristen, and Sam up into the hive. Maybe next week if we can do a quick turnaround, but if not, the next maybe after that.
We'll try to find some time. But I wanted to call. My wife watches you all the time. I'll come home from work and you're blaring on our TV here.
Motherfunker. Love it. And
And
actually,
sometimes she'll tell me call in. I'm like, no, I this is for Birdie's Hive. This is for the Hive to call in. But I thought it might be, given that interview and everyone's talking about it, I thought I'd call in and say hi and how much we appreciate that you guys are watching it and talking about it. And that's what we want to do. We want to give everybody something to talk about and try to move this, find out what really happened.
well, and let me also just say, I don't know if I've ever shared this. The Jeff H. Bird came from the Funks. They sent me this. And so
Mhm.
I think that was incredible. Shout out to you, Rod. Shout out to Motherfunker, which I
Yeah.
almost always just drop a loud MF but sometimes I'm sure it'll happen
She loves it.
eventually. But no, man, I appreciate you
Yeah.
popping on up. Great job again. And
Oh, sure.
I will be in touch. You have a good night.
Thanks. Hey, good night. Good night, Hive. We love you guys too.
All right. Cheers, brother. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
See ya. That was so cool. That's freaking awesome that Ron just called in. Shout out to Motherfunker for getting Ron to do it. That was, that's great. And what an epic, whoever dropped that question in the chat, I saw it fly by about ask him what he thinks about the 10 out of 10. And I'm so glad I saw that because man, that was just such an awesome reaction of kind of the little chuckle, anyways, thank you, Rod. And now let's go ahead and bring up our next caller. We got Boomer and Sammy. How are you doing, Boomer and Sammy?
It's me. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear, Sammy.
First of all, how do I follow that?
Well, I don't know. You guys have good calls.
So I don't really have any more about this asshat than anybody else. I guess we all kind of share the same opinion, right? But one thing I did want to bring up is, so when Christy was on CrimeCon, there's a little short thing that they've posted on their YouTube that CrimeCon has. And I've gotten on 3 times now and posted the link. I'm done arguing back and forth with these people about what is fact and what is not. So I've just turned to putting the link on for the documents. Can I tell you that every comment, as rude as I may be, my cheekiness, anything has stayed, but those links have disappeared every time?
To the documents.
Yep.
Wow.
So CrimeCon is even going in and deleting it, which, Boom says all the time, a pair of lips will tell you anything. And I think some of the, we focus on evidence and what happened and what the narrative is. I think sometimes we kind of need to take a step back and look at how these people are reacting when they're interviewed, not just the Gonzaleses, but like Turvey and Whitcomb and Syre and all of them. What questions piss them off? What things are they not saying? What are they saying that they can't answer to? I think there's going to be a lot more answers in that than even the evidence is going to tell us, because there's only so many people. I mean, you commit a crime with too many people, and the only thing is opening the door for more people to tell on you, for a co-defendant, right?
Yep.
So I don't think that autopsy reports are wrong. I don't think, you asked in your opening question about what is right and what is wrong. I think that there are some things that we're getting that's actual factual evidence. When it comes to the police, trash. But there has to be something, someone, some kind of dark matter out there that is erasing this shit, that doesn't want it found. Like, why? Why remove the links to the documents?
I mean, I have one simple answer, and it's that the less people see them, the better it is for CrimeCon. Because CrimeCon, it is so odd to me that CrimeCon will get sponsors who then those sponsors use murder as a PR rollout to promote whatever company they're a part of. Like I had said that with Othram. It was that is as weird as it feels to say this. I think that you'll understand what I'm getting at, Sammy, and that is they played it perfectly from a business standpoint, being Othram.
Yeah.
And it was so perfect that for it to just fall into place amongst everything else, and now you seeing document links get deleted, you just have to question yourself. You said dark entity. I mean, who is the dark entity?
Right.
That's what's wild, because why would CrimeCon delete official documents to a crime?
Right. Well, and I go in on some of these things that I think I messaged you either in Discord or in an email and said, I've gotten communication from somebody that I'm confident just in their verbiage and the things that they say that it's Olivia. And I've actually had it happen a second time, and I think it's Steve. So whatever I'm touching on, I'm poking something that they're paying attention to. So I don't know, but it's odd to me, who has that master key? Who's getting shit deleted off CrimeCon? Why can't a documents link that they all want us to read, why can't it be on the CrimeCon website?
Well, also, sorry, go ahead. What did Boomer say?
He said to tell you there's a glitch in the Matrix.
Well, yeah, for sure. We're living in the upside down world for sure. And I was just going to say, though, about who is keeping tabs on it, or as far as the documents go, I mean, her words, not mine. Many people have heard this, and Chrissy said, I haven't read them. Now, that could have been a while ago. But to think that if you hadn't read them then, now with just the sheer volume, I don't know how you could.
Right. Oh, and I mean, if anybody in the Hive, if you want to go and find CrimeCon's page and look at her video, my comments are there under my name, loud and proud. Like I've asked her the same thing. I said, it's hard to feel sorry for a parent who is so willing to turn cheek at the facts. It's hard. Like what would be a motivating factor as a parent to turn cheek to your child's death?
So the timing of this is interesting, because I was watching Stacy Chapin. Who was the guy that was in the Taylor Lautner? What movie was he in? The werewolf one?
Twilight. something or yeah.
He has a podcast. He's interviewed the Petito family on there,
Mhm.
or the Petito mom. He had Stacy Chapin on.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I've seen parts of it.
Okay, so Stacy Chapin at one point, and again, I'm just quoting the interview.
Right.
So what she had said was, or what she had been asked was something about the other two siblings going back to school, and she was like, "No, it wasn't even a decision. They were going to go back. Ethan would have wanted them to finish," and they're kind of just like, "What?" Like, what Twilight guy's name? Taylor Lautner.
Yeah.
Right? That's his name. Taylor Lautner and his female co-host were just kind of like, oof, and like kind of just were like, shh. And she kept talking, saying, after about 60 days, things are just kind of normal. After 45 days, I'm yelling at the other two to put their dishes away. And it's like, what are we going to do? Just sit around and stare at each other. And while you can understand like what she's maybe getting at, kind of, it's just the manner in which it's portrayed consistently still. And then you bring in the G family to that. What do you think would cause, or what do you think would be the motive to have maybe an answer to a question that way, or to kind of what we've seen the G family do?
Right. So I kind of honestly think that the G's is a little bit different, because the way that they are approaching Kaylee's phone, saying nobody will have access to it, we want the phone back. I think that Kaylee had either gotten herself into something, or they wonder what was on her phone. I don't know if she was doing OnlyFans or what was going on, but there's something that will either paint her or paint them in a bad light. So that's the only thing I can think of to stop pursuing it, because with as dedicated as Steve was in the beginning, and I'd be interested to go back and see after the plea, he still had the fight in him, and I would be interested to see when he kind of changed course. But there's something that made him pump the brakes, where maybe they have actually gotten into the phone and they've realized that there's something in there, and maybe they're worried that if Kaylee was the target, maybe they're worried about lawsuits from the other families.
You know what? That's such an interesting take. Would that even be something that I know people have sued for some wild stuff, but I mean, is that allowed? Like, how would you do that?
I don't know. My legal knowledge goes as far as drug sales.
Well,
let me. I don't know. But I would think. I mean, I would think that they probably wouldn't win, but just like the WSU lawsuit, like people go after weird shit all the time.
If someone was a target of a murder and your family member is killed in the process of the other person being attacked, can you sue the target's family after the fact? God, that just seems so dark, doesn't that?
Right?
That just seems like such a, to go after the target's family.
Well, I mean, we live in Vegas, and I know that after the shooting here, that there was like a counter lawsuit thing done by the casino or by the hotel against the victims' families. So that basically they were like a loss in court. Yeah, I know that they
counters too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I actually have never heard that. And I've looked into that a lot. I don't know how I did it. Oh my God. Okay. So here, check this out, Sammy. Let me make this bigger. Yes, you can file a lawsuit, but you generally cannot win against the target's family merely because their relative was the intended target. To recover for wrongful death, you must prove that the person you sued committed a wrongful act or negligence that actually and foreseeably contributed to the death. Being related to the intended target does not automatically create liability. So the target or their family could potentially be liable when, for example, they knew a specific attack was likely, but deliberately brought your family member into the danger without warning. Well, Jesus. Helped arrange, provoke, conceal, or facilitate the attack. Supplied the attacker with a weapon, vehicle location, or information. controlled the property and negligently failed to address a foreseeable danger, or had legal control over the attacker and negligently failed to act despite known threats. Jeez.
So, also, just to kind of add a little bit to that, I find it interesting that including Xana, all of them went to the same high school, or not the same high school. Xana went to one like 15 minutes away, but they all kind of grew up in the same area. And it's also interesting that, like, to me personally, my own unprofessional opinion, it seems like Kaylee was the target just because there was some intense emotion behind the way she was attacked. And it's interesting that her room, like Xana's room, was her room prior, like within like 60 days or something like that, prior to her moving upstairs.
Right. And so I'm not asking you this to be rhetorical or to challenge that.
Right.
But rather, have you, when you say that, has there ever been a part of your brain that has maybe thought, well, everything that they've seemed to put into the limelight, being the knife sheath, the Elantra, like Koberger, and nothing ever happens in Moscow. It was targeted. It wasn't targeted. It was targeted. I mean, would you say that you could apply that same thing to who they're saying the target was?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
it's always made me think, because like, while I agree with you for sure on the autopsy report, just the intensity of it. And also we've heard it a bunch. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of things, because that came out almost right away too.
Right.
Does that make sense what I'm
Right.
asking? It just seems like it's been a solidified thing that I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't. Not that we're
wasn't
getting
the fact. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, for all we know, Kaylee could have fought as hard as Xana. And that could be why her injuries were so significant.
Hang on. Secret Soul Survivor. I've not heard this take yet about Steve G's up the stairs comment. You had said, Sammy, within 60 days, Kaylee was in Xana's room. So Secret Soul Survivor said, oh my God, is that what Steve G meant by they didn't have to go up the stairs? Meaning, did they go into Xana's room? It wasn't Kaylee. They could have just left, but instead went up the stairs. Now, the question to that is, does that mean that technically Xana's room was attacked first? Because how are you going to go into Xana's room and see Ethan and Xana and then just come back for them later? Or is that they realized it? Did they kill the wrong people? I don't know.
Yeah. I've kind of always wondered that, just because the way that they have no interactions, like nobody can say when they got home, not even the surviving roommates. So, I mean, did they go into that room first? Like, were they already dead?
Well, Cyree wouldn't even, he had, I like how Sleuther Dare had put it in the chat. He had memory loss when it came to Ethan and Xana getting home.
Conveniently.
What? Why won't they tell us that?
I don't know. I know that I'm like low-key jealous of the man's confidence. Like, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. He really needs to work in sales.
Well, I agree. I don't disagree with that, because something we have to remember about him, Turvey, Whitka, a lot of these people, right? Like they are successful in their careers. And as Cyree said, yeah, this case has been a detriment to him and his reputation in a way. But that doesn't, it's, we're also seeing him through the lens of this case. I make the analogy. I don't know if you watched the Fox Hollow interview with the coroner, Jeff Jellison, and how he talked about Othram. And it was like, man, if that would have been our first introduction to Othram, what would we think of it as?
Right.
In a way.
For sure. Or if somebody like him would have been on this case, would we even be here? Would all of us even be in the Hive right now?
True. Great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
I don't know.
Well, Sabby, awesome call. Fantastic call. Keep Boomer in check this weekend. And I hope you guys have a great evening, and I will talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Birdie.
All right. Yep. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
All right. We got high. I think is it high knee titties? What's going on? How are you doing?
I am Shannon. Getting my highs knees right, cuz.
Oh, Shannon, good to hear from you. What did you think of the Cyree interview, if you had a chance to watch it?
Oh gosh, I've watched it twice now.
Okay.
And I don't know. First of all, let me just say that I think that the G's are being very quiet because they have, well, all the parents, they have 400 million reasons why they don't want the truth to come out right now. And that's the lawsuit against
WSU.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
it's definitely a motive to maybe behave a certain way or just hope that stuff doesn't come out until that's settled. Certainly.
Right. And as far as Ray and Dr. Turvey, what they're doing is having a pissing contest. And nobody had to make Ray look like a moron. He did that perfectly fine by himself. He just the Cussy Queens, they're awesome. The pushback was magnificent. I think I clapped so much every time they pushed back on him. But just I don't get the whole 10 out of 10. There is no way that they where is the evidence? There's nothing. There's nothing.
Just it. Well, let me ask you this, Shannon. So I had said earlier, why would they release the autopsy reports but not some cell phone data? Not some time of arrival for half of the victims. Like, I've said that stat before, and I think it's powerful because it's 50% of the victims we don't know when they got home, but we know every single wound they had. To me, my spidey senses go off, and I feel that is very out of order. Yes, it follows a pattern.
He even said that there was droplet of blood that went from one room to the other. But how come we haven't heard that or had any kind of evidence, backing that up? I mean, he said there was, blood went from upstairs downstairs or vice versa. So I was like, where? Where? And how come nobody? You would think that they would put their best foot forward if they really thought that, BK is in jail. That's what they wanted. That's what they got. And I keep saying, if, I don't know, I'll be so disappointed if Brian doesn't speak up for himself by September. Because
I would too, because at that point we can only scream chess move and strategy for so long until we don't even see the most basic things, or we don't even see the most basic steps leading up to it. Just about why are they making another Netflix series? Why are they going out and doing these interviews? Why are they having a pissing match? Why is our defense experts going out and saying that the most they've done is release a piece of paper about it?
Right. That's right.
Well,
I'm so confused, but it made me so irritated at that man. I think I cussed my television worse than I've ever cussed my husband.
That's a funny analogy. I got to tell you though, there was definitely some times, when I was listening, especially when he started talking about Dylan and the description of Brian Koberger, how it certainly led to him. It thank God her dream was accurate, or saying, which I'll never understand this. And I'm not a blood expert. I just feel like I have common sense, as he says that we seem to lack at times. I don't know how you can murder 4 people and not have any blood on your shoe. And don't tell me that it's common. It's like you're pissing on me and you're telling me that it's raining. Don't tell me that when we see one of the victims' rooms that the floor is covered in blood or smeared in blood. That
even on the bed there was a shoe print by Ethan of a bloody shoe print, and he's like, "No, we first would have seen it in the blood." Well, you don't see all them swirl marks, I mean, come on now. It's just crazy.
It
and
is crazy.
no evidence of a cleanup. What?
Well, I'll tell you that. You know what? As hard as it is to do to not get emotionally triggered when I hear that, right? Like I try to stick and practice what I preach with. If you're easily rattled, triggered, or offended, don't, this isn't going to be the stream for you. So I do try to embody that. However, it's tough to do. But when Cy Ray did say there's no evidence of a cleanup, I will say that Jeffrey Gentry, the first time that he came in here, not knowing about the case and having just seen the photos the night or two before, he did say the same thing as far as there's no evidence of a cleanup, right? I know Cy Ray said there's no cleanup, but I find that strange. I know Cy Ray's not a crime scene cleanup expert or a forensic expert, but that talking point from somebody that knows the case, being Cy, and then somebody that really didn't the first time, if you go listen to Jeffrey's interview the first time, because right after Jeffrey Gentry was on the Hive, for people that don't know, the guy called his family, reached out to him immediately, like that night, which is just crazy. And so if you listen to the first interview, you're getting Jeffrey's completely unbiased, just professional opinion. I'd asked him, I said, you show up, you walk in, this is what you see. And we analyzed it all. I had the screen shared.
I remember that.
But he did say no evidence of a cleanup.
Right. But he didn't know about the case.
Which is true.
We're talking about Cy Ray knowing the case. And, first he said that he only got a hold of like the cell phone data and all that. And then he started talking about, the autopsy photos and, well, how did he get to see all of that if he only was there to do, the data, on the phones? It was just a little shocking.
Well, no, it is a good talking point because Dr. Turvey would certainly only talk about the things that he was allowed to talk about. As far as if you look at two defense experts, Cy Ray was able to canvass the entirety of the case, and Dr. Turvey was very tactful and clinical with his answers and saying, I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I just didn't like the whole trust me bro thing, with Cy Ray. He was backing the blue, that's what he was all there about.
Well, I think you bring up some fantastic points, Shannon. As always, it's great to hear from you. I hope you have an awesome weekend.
You also, honey. Bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye. Awesome calls so far, man. I love the energy in here tonight. So thank you to everybody who is choosing to call in. Thank you to everybody who chose to spend their Friday night here in the Hive. And let's go ahead and get our next caller on. We got E-Potty. How are you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Just first of all, I want to say, love you, Shawley. Love you, Mr. Shawley. Comes up with incredible stuff. First thing I wanted to say is I was trying to figure out why Cy Ray would do this. And it dawns on me, he started this company. It's called Z-Tex. And it's listed as or described as a one-stop shop investigative tool. And I thought, what if law enforcement used that and it pointed to BK? And now he's got to backtrack and defend his software backwards, like he went backwards. I did a quick AI, and it says here the Montana Supreme Court opinion. The court noted that Z-Tex has hundreds of law enforcement customers, including federal agencies such as the FBI, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshal Service, Secret Service, and Department of Defense. However, it does not establish that the FBI used Z-Tex in the Koberger investigation. I know they used CAST, but it's quite possible they also used his software. I also found out it's publicly traded. So he probably has a financial, I know he sold it, but he probably has a financial interest in it doing well. The other thing I was trying to find out is when he started with the defense, and I jumped from show to show, and nobody could tell me exactly when he started. He's listed as in April of 2024 as part of the defense team. But I found some pictures of Ann Taylor with 3 guys in front of 1122, the back of which looks like Cy Ray in his signature hat. If you ever go and find photos of Cy Ray online, he always wears that same hat.
Dude, well, you can't say that and not have us show this photo.
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
sorry. Where can I drop it?
So are you on a PC right now?
I am.
Do you see the share screen thing? You could just share your window if you want to pull it up, or you can email it to me, whatever you prefer. I'll just have to add it to the stage, so let me know when it's there if you're going to go that route.
I don't know how to share my screen. Where's share?
There should be a
Can I
button that
put
says
it in chat?
I don't think you can post in the chat, but you should see a button next to your camera slot that says present or invite. Maybe not, because I didn't send you the link. Can you email it to me, though? birdieshivemind@gmail.com.
Sure.
Okay. Now, that is crazy. So is that the same day? Because was it you, E-Potty, that brought up that it looked like a Amanda Koberger next to Ann Taylor?
Yes, it's the same day.
Okay.
So there's the wreath is on the door, the snow is on the ground, and I went forward to when the house changed. And the house, there's a picture from Fox News where all the windows are boarded up, the doors are boarded up. There's chain link fencing up at that point. So somewhere between the crime and May 21st, Cy Ray was part of this. Now here's a theory. Ann Taylor, in several of the pretrial hearings, kept telling Judge and Hippler, it seems like the prosecution is trying to figure out what we know. As if they're responding to the stuff that the defense knows, and they're mitigating those issues. If Cy Ray, who's never been part of a defense team before, has always testified for the prosecution, suddenly now he shows up, could he be the conduit to law enforcement and the prosecution to relay what the defense knows?
Now, that would be interesting.
All right,
I mean, is that where you're kind of getting at?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this just doesn't make sense. His backtracking and you know, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, it almost seems as though it's after hearing his answers, and then kind of after hearing what Ron had said about what he was saying backstage and how adamant he was that Brian Koberger was guilty, and this is the first time that he's ever worked for a defense team. It doesn't even necessarily seem like his intentions flipped. It seems like it was the plan. Just like how he had said there's going to be data that we can show if there's appeals, and that's what's going to convince the jury to be 10 out of 10. And I'm thinking to myself, why just like necessarily hold that back and go with the plea deal? Like, if you could fry this guy for such a heinous crime, why not do it if it's 10 out of 10?
Tell me, Bertie, that comment is not tainting any future jury that Brian could possibly have. If you knew what I knew, 10 out of 10 juries would convict him. And tell me if Ann Taylor does not scold this man in public like she did with Turvey, then the fix is in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I felt like Cy Ray's interview, at least in my mind, really did make the fix being in solidify. And from a different feeling than just framing. Like, does that make sense? Like, there's framing and corruption in police department planting evidence. The way that Cy talked about it, this is just my opinion, all alleged, was it felt above framed, which I would say fixed, for the sake of this conversation. It seemed so pre-planned. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. Well, here's the other thing. I just very quickly, because when Shawley said Michael, I also heard him almost say phone. Michael's phone. I think I think he had Michael's phone. Look, it doesn't make any sense. This guy is the phone guy. He has all the data. He's analyzing it. He can't tell us when Ethan got home. It connects to the Wi-Fi. Why can't you tell us that? That's the big question.
Right. It makes no sense. And I'm just trying to look up. Somebody had said that Michael Koberger's a junior. And I'm just trying to think of what the reason for a Freudian slip Michael could be. He's a 67-year-old facility worker, right? Maintenance guy.
They tapped his phone. That's why he doesn't want to say it.
He filed for bankruptcy in 2009. Like, there's some things that we've all heard over the years, but for a guy with no criminal history and being somebody who's in maintenance and filed for bankruptcy in 2009, retired in 2021, that's just such an odd Freudian slip.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. I appreciate it as always. I hope you have a good weekend.
You too.
Cheers. All righty. Next up, we got Jeep Girl. How are you doing?
Hi, Birdie. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What do you got for us this evening?
Oh my God, I have to echo what so many of your callers were saying. I was literally jumping like, oh my God, yes. I hope you didn't hear me. I wasn't sure. I do have a lot in my notes, but one main question, I really wanted to put it out there, and I really would like the Gonzalez's mainly because, as much as I have respect for the loss of their child, we did have an unexpected loss in our family as well. My daughter happened to find her. It was my niece. Thank you. So I don't want to disrespect that aspect. Now switching to the other gear. They irritated me from the very beginning. I don't know what it was. I've been in the medical field for 20 years. I worked in lab, blood, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I don't jump around. I do have ADHD, so bear with me.
Squirrel.
I have all my, oh my God, you have no idea. So one question, two. I mean, I have other things, but this one. If Brian did this, or he was a part of this, why the lies from everybody? You would have said, oh my God, what the hell is going on out there, and called 911. I don't care how you are, what Steve wants to say, they're younger. No, you wouldn't clean up. It makes no logical sense. And Brian doesn't have any friends. They've stated that. And they have a picture of him in Costco's 2 days or something. I mean, Xana kicked ass. So that guy had no marks on his face.
Can I add something in about the Costco? I saw it in the comments on TikTok. I think it was either a TikTok I got tagged in or somebody put it under one of my videos. And I don't remember the person's name, but I was just scrolling through reading them. And they said that, oddly enough, I think it was after I had showed the Chief Jenkins securing more funding for WSU, for more cameras because they only have 20% coverage. Somebody fact checked me here in the Hive, but I saw a comment that said, oddly enough, the Costco that they got the footage from is a flock camera.
Really?
And it's the only flock camera that was used or that's in that area.
Of him,
Now-
wait a minute, are we talking about the same thing? I'm talking about his physical being walking.
No,
in the
no,
pool.
I know.
Oh,
I
oh,
was
okay,
just
sorry.
I was just saying in general about a camera because I was curious about that when you said it. It just kind of popped into my head.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
So it.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, what was the final question? I guess.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I would love the Gonzaleses because they get so angry at everybody that are trying to search for the truth. And hey, it ain't necessarily to prove Koberger's innocence. It's to fight for these to fight for these poor kids and what they went through. And I know everybody in this hive and everybody else that follows Lana as me and Pav. I mean, it's unspeakable. And you can't look at that and say one person did it. I mean, it's just really echoing what everybody else said. But if he did it, there wouldn't be any of this back and forth and everybody's story changing, even all the other frats and this and that. It just doesn't make sense. There's a cover up, and you wouldn't cover it up if it was Brian. You wouldn't.
Well, let me ask you this: Does the behavior make sense if the killer was unknown? Does the behavior make sense if the killer was somebody else and they do know? Does the behavior make sense outside of just applying it to specifically towards Brian Koberger? Because there's the behavior of everybody in this case, not just victims' families, but there's the behavior that is directed towards Brian Koberger, which we just saw Cy Ray emulate. And then there's the behavior that we see some of the families and a lot of the people that were very close to these kids allegedly emulate, being the lack of emotion. We've seen the interviewers' behavior all act very similar with the lack of in-depth questions, not just what Cy was talking about, but all of the people that we've listened to with the FOIA interviews. The PCA follows a pattern. It all deflects from not only what just happened, but there is behavior that every step of the way from entities that would have more times than not no overlap unless they all coordinated. What about the media?
And that's what doesn't make sense. Exactly. And why haven't Cy Ray, Chris Whitcomb, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be, and who's the other dipshit? Brent Turvey.
Okay.
Have they been on any mainstream like Ashley Banfield or Fox News or Brian Enton? Have they?
Chris Whitcomb did a little bit of the mainstream stuff, and I know that Turvey went on to somebody who's got a smaller show for Fox that I think is just on YouTube. I'm forgetting the gal's name, but not
They're just
like
out to, I think, twist all of us up because they know that you guys are getting to it. I'm telling you, that's my bet. Oh God, yeah, they're just trying to promote their book. They make no sense, and like you said, oh my God, I was ready to scream when I agree with you that they really are making everybody, and they try to make everybody look like idiots.
Yeah.
The way that they talk, kind of condescending, and like, I just, when they don't know half the people they're talking to do have degrees in certain fields and do know what they're talking about. You don't have to, and you really don't even have to have half a brain in your head to look at this whole thing as like if you're looking from above and you're looking down in the bowl. Like, if you have nothing to hide nothing. That's the plain truth. And the truth will always be the truth, no matter how many times you tell it. Now, Dylan, she ought to be ashamed of herself saying she even goes to college. Honestly, you hear that girl talk, I mean,
well,
I mean.
Well, I know. I totally get what you're saying. And I think just to talk about that condescending point, you made a really good point about how they don't know us. They don't know what it is. And that's something that I try to remember too. When I see comments, it's like, I don't know this person. It's hard to judge something through a comment, but also from being the person that's on the screen and talking about this type of stuff, you hit the nail on the head. It's like, well, yes, you know me doing the stream, nobody really knows each other in real life more times than I'm saying, not from how I act and how I talk, but you don't know if I'm an expert in this. You don't know if I have done something in that makes me credible, that you just think that because it's a stupid podcast for true crime or
Well, but
however
that's the
he was
thing.
wording it.
You handle yourself and your show. I mean, my God, awesome. Lana handles it awesome. That you articulate things so well. So does Pav. And I feel like they are, I mean, I don't care what line of work they're in, they are feeling intimidated by you guys right now. And I feel like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to twist it. They're trying to twist everybody. And instead of really keep diving more into the case, we're now going to turn the book and shift on them and their behavior. And why play games? If you know shit, say it. If you don't, shut up. Okay? Because, you know, I'm not saying that they're hiding. I don't know, but getting back to when Chrissy, she got the phone call that night, and where she got a call from her niece that Kaylee was shot. Why would you, as a parent, get in your damn car?
I know.
Why? I didn't know they were an hour. Yeah, I didn't know they were an hour away, and my boyfriend, my God, I was like, oh my God, I was livid. I was livid.
Well, I think you bring up some really good points. And I think that, again, it's so hard to hear somebody like Cy Ray, who's a defense expert, not only say what he is about the case, but then the way that people like ourselves are interpreted as bad people. And I'll just say it. We're interpreted like bad, stupid,
you're right,
malintentioned dumbasses. And it's so obvious that they're trying to get us to see that.
Well, I don't know if you ever paid attention, and I don't know nothing about this guy, but Steve Gonzalez always was on the Drunken Turkey show. I never watched it because I can't stomach to hear. My mind was set where it's set from the beginning. And, Brian was convicted when he was in Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm talking about in everybody's eyes. You got Chris Watts that they moved his trial to another state. They didn't do this with this guy. He didn't stand a chance no matter what. He was guilty until proven innocent.
Well,
and again, it's not just about proving him innocent or guilty. It's like Lana even said, take Brian off their effing shelf. Look at the rest of the case. Why are you lying, man? There's something going on that you're lying. And it's like everybody's focused, oh, Brian's guilty. Okay, tell me why. Why do you think he's guilty? What did he do? How did he do it? Alone.
Right.
And get out of there, and who cleaned up? Okay, Dylan and Bethany stayed down there asleep. Oh, give me it. Oh. And I'm sorry, I do feel like Dylan played a part. I do feel like she played a part in helping with, I don't care, I'm sorry, it's my opinion. With
I am not responsible for the views and the opinions that are expressed in this program. These are for informational and educational purposes. So,
yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And I appreciate the call, Jeep Girl. I think that a lot of people feel very similar.
Can I say just a couple more things? I know I'm trying to get it all in because I know you've been all in long. So when the cops also did their canvassing, okay, and they went around to the doors, and asked if they heard anything and so forth, right? I don't know if you guys all seen them footage.
Yep.
Well, the one door, the two kids opened the door. The cop didn't even get a chance to ask anything. And they volunteered, and they said, no, we didn't hear any gunshots. Say what now?
Yep, I've seen that.
Say what now? And, as far as the other girl that was just on saying things have been deleted, I've been noticing that. In the very, very beginning of this case, I don't know if anybody remembers this, there was reports of a camera in the backyard that I guess the girls and all were complaining about it. It was on a tripod, and it was facing their house. Does anybody remember that? And I can't find it anywhere. I know I've seen it. It was in the very, very beginning.
The camera facing. Say that again.
Yeah, it was in way in the back of 112 in their backyard. But I guess the girl. Somebody complained about it, thought they were being watched, but they showed the camera on a tripod. I remember seeing it.
I haven't seen it. I've only ever heard
No, you're not going to find it.
Yeah.
And the guy that was standing by one of the dumpsters and he was burning something, you clearly seen fire. You clearly seen him on his phone, and a car came and picked him up. I don't know if any of your other viewers have seen that. I can't find that video no more.
Well, I can't find a lot of the videos either, and it seems like they're continuing to scrub and delete.
Exactly. Oh, one thing I wanted to tell you. Remember when you said you thought that camera was manipulated?
Yes.
Okay. Here's something that because I went in. It was specifically the one video where it was 12:55 to 2:25 a.m. Now, if there's different ones than them, but I went into that one, that time frame. And for some reason, everybody was focused on other things. I wanted to focus on that car that was sitting there parked with the alarm flashing. And I don't know, I was asking around, and I even researched it. When it blinks red light, is the time increments the same with every car, or does it vary, or what? You know what I mean? As you know, when a car is sitting there parked and their alarm is on, and then that little red light goes off in their car. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because this one was going off the charts. You got like 8 seconds one time, 2, 17, 6, 4, 28. I mean, 19. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then you just hear all kinds of, I hear like machines running. I hear cars 30, but I don't see them. I watched your video on that too.
Mm-hmm.
And at 1:04, I hear loud sounds like gunshots. At 1:04:43 on that specific video.
Yeah,
I mean, it gave me chills, man.
that's the whole thing with the enhanced audio is you have 100 people, you hear 100 different things. I used to be like that more. Like, I'm telling you, this is what they're saying, but I think the takeaway and just kind of learning as I've done this more is the best way to use it is to provide context with tone, with volume. How loud are they saying it? How are they not? Does that sound natural? Does that feel like it was slipped in there? And just kind of
people
plug
have
in?
to also remember there are people that are in that house that it's going to be louder. You know what I mean? Because I tested it out with my own Ring camera. Like, whatever you hear from them, it would have to be faint. But at the same time, they're not partying. It's going to be much higher pitch. And, I mean, we know what we hear might be awful, but we still know that it happened. It's just like you said, and everybody's saying, we don't know when. We don't know time frames. And why is it being secretive? And how much did Ann Taylor knew before this plea? Just because he took a plea, that's all I got to deal with. This one here, he pleaded. He's guilty. He pleaded. I'm like, forget it, and I walk away from him. But, just, I don't know. I just basically echo what everybody else was saying. And that main question, if Brian did it, it doesn't
Why
make
not show
sense
us?
why everybody, exactly.
I totally agree. I mean,
it seemed like the prosecutor, Thompson, in John Judge's courtroom.
Yeah.
He was ready to go to trial then. He says, I'm ready, Your Honor. But then all of a sudden, you want to go this discussion, like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And Ann Taylor had so much confidence when she was in his courtroom. Once she got to Hitler, that guy seemed like he just wanted to, like, had his claws out. He had a look on his face like he didn't want to deal with it. I'm sorry. I got a good intuition on that. He just looked, yeah.
Well, the body language was for sure telling. And Jeep Girl, I'm gonna go ahead and pop to some other calls. But as always, I mean, I appreciate your calls. I think that the like I said earlier, the emotion that people are starting to feel, because there's real vested interest in wanting to do good by doing what we do, and to be told that we're not.
Yeah, and to have insults, spurred towards you and Pav, and all that. I mean, like, nobody's calling anybody names. Nobody's doing anything. And Dylan is the one supposedly who lured Maddie or begged her to come there that night. How ironic. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the parents, I just don't like how they behave. I don't. I mean, why attack us? It's like, I think you said, or one of the other callers said, and I'm in the background here. I'm like, oh my God, yes.
Right.
Like if that was your child, my gosh.
We're the only people that get attacked, and I agree with that. It does not make any sense. And so I hope you have an awesome weekend, and I
You too,
appreciate
thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you too. Bye.
Bye. Love the energy, love the emotion, and I get it. I totally understand it. I am out of water, and I will get to the calls. Don't go anywhere, Hive. Sorry about that. I try to usually fill up a couple times, but or I've tried to have a couple different water bottles next to me, but I only had one tonight. All righty. Sorry about that, Hive. I go out into the kitchen and one of my cats had grown up, which is just disgusting. Don't want the dog eating that. If we get to 1,000 likes tonight, by the time I get to the last call, I usually do a giveaway on the Hive Plus War Rooms. I will be doing a giveaway tonight if we can get to 1,000 likes. It's been a while since we've or since I've said that. So let's go ahead and do that. Not only will I do a giveaway, if we get to 1,000 likes, I'll also gift out 5 Hive Plus memberships as well. So just take a couple seconds, tap the like button, and I will go ahead and do a giveaway and also the memberships. Let me just pull up that tab so that I remember to do so. You know, I just want to say too, we got a handful of callers. I'm going to get through them. I just want to say a couple of thoughts to put out into the Hive so that I don't forget, because there's been a lot of good points brought up. One, with Ipati talking about Cy Ray's company, I just started thinking, how crazy would it be if Cy Ray held some sort of like masterclass or held some sort of seminar? Was Cy Ray a speaker at any point? That what if Brian Koberger attended? Okay, again, that's going to maybe scratch the itch for some theories and not others, but that's something that I'm just really starting to wonder now, where Ipati had talked about Cy Ray having to almost like work backwards and defend the technology in a way. So I just wanted to say that before I forgot it. All right, next up, we got Becky C003. How are you doing? You are on mute.
Oh, hi, Bertie. Hi,
Becky,
hi.
great to hear from you. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
What do you
I
got
tell
for
you,
us?
I've got a lot of what the hell moments after watching that crap we watched last night. I tell you, my first one is he's supposed to be an expert. He's supposed to be a professional. What the hell is he doing out there talking? Isn't there NDAs still?
Well, that's the confusing part is there are NDAs that Mallory. Now I don't know if there's different lengths, but like Mallory had talked about her mom being at the crime scene in a photo that I've typically used for thumbnails, and said that she, people are talking on these docuseries and they can talk. So I do wonder if it applies. There's different lengths depending on who you are. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, to begin with, the guy that was supposed to be her expert contacted Cy Ray to get his opinion, and now he become Ann Taylor's expert. That it's, he took over the other guy's spot. That didn't make any sense. Why is that?
Yeah, that is true. Why is that?
Yeah. And for him to be saying that all the people that are having conspiracies and problems with Dylan and Bethany's interviews, it's just absurd, because as he stated that he said that Dylan is like a rape victim. Even though her story keeps changing, it's because of the trauma she went through. Well, bullshit. That's ridiculous.
And in the same breath, Becky, he's agreeing with Sam, Kristen, and Ron about the credibility issues and some poor decisions.
Right. Right.
So that's, and I don't want to just hijack this. I just have to get this off my chest because I think the same way, and I feel the same way that a lot of you do it here. When you talk out of both sides of your mouth as the expert, it's a lot different than hosting a podcast that's, again, the Hive, where the entire platform is doing exactly that. It's talking through everything, right? That's what we do in here. So, but the expert lane is a little bit different. And to say that and not in his own brain think to himself, okay, so the public only sees contradiction after contradiction, kid glove questions, softball questions. The interviewer sucked and she contradicts herself, but thank God her dream was accurate and she described Brian Koberger with bushy eyebrows. I don't know how anybody whose brain could even compute that at the IQ level that he clearly has to be in the position that he is.
Right, exactly. I mean, her dream was accurate. I mean, what? I mean, oh my God.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yes. I tell you, and for when it got to Bethany, when they asked, talking about when was Bethany home all night, he said, "Oh, I can't talk about that." Why not?
Right.
Why?
Ethan and
Yeah. Why? The only thing he said about Ethan and Xana when they asked about it was, "Oh, well, they got home before the murder." What
I
the
know.
F did what? Makes no damn sense.
I didn't know if that was, so I interpreted that originally as sarcasm, right? Like, well, they were home before the murder. Like, of course they were there, but
he's the cell phone expert. He should have known when they connected to the Wi-Fi. Why not just say it?
It's the way that even it, okay, I'm going to try to collect my thoughts because now my brain is going a million miles an hour with that comment of the comment of well, they were home before the murders, like how Shawley has in the comment I have on screen. Well, duh. And that's what I kind of initially thought was like, was that sarcastic? But to what you just said, Becky, if you're an expert and you are doing over 150 criminal testimonies, I think he cited that he has done, right, where he has testified for them.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't the strategy, especially being, as Rod explained it, deposed by 3 attorneys, wouldn't you be able to say and allude to maybe something that's a little bit more technical, just out of habit or muscle memory, of saying something like what you just said? Well, we can tell that their devices were connected to their Wi-Fi before the murders occurred. Just that alone would sound so different.
Yeah.
But none of that.
Right. I don't understand his whole way of thinking because he was backpedaling. He would say something that agreed with kind of all of us and what we wanted to hear, and then he would step back and totally denounce that.
Right. Yes,
So
I agree.
and him saying that there was any evidence that there was cleanup. He said the issues with the DNA, the lab, what was it? The IgG was supposed to have a warrant, and the government, the DOJ, stepped outside their policies to go ahead and break their policies to get the answer that they wanted. And then supposedly BK had been known to them before the IgG report even came out. What?
Does anybody understand how insane that is? That they're surveilling Brian for 6 months or whatever he had said, right? Back to March of 2022 and framing him. It's just, they clearly knew who Brian was long before. I think the murders even occurred, guys.
Right, exactly. And it's just, none of it made sense. Him just double talking.
Yes.
That just totally, it made me so mad. I take notes when they do these interviews, and I tell you, halfway through, I was throwing my pen, and it was just ridiculous. But how do they want us to believe all this shit? I mean, we know the government has the outreach that is, they can do anything to anybody at any time.
Yep.
Why? What exactly do they have on BK? And I don't think it's necessarily the four, I think it's something else.
What do you mean?
I think it's deeper than that. I still tend to believe that he was a part of law enforcement, and something he's done or found out or something has got him in the predicament that he's in.
What about just a connection?
It could, but he was wanting to be a police officer so bad that's what gets me. And people like that, I know several people, and when they get in that position, they go beyond the scope of what they're supposed to do, and they get into stuff that's not right, or maybe he is smarter than the most average guy and found out something that they were doing wrong. I don't know, but for this guy to come out and say all this crap to us, and just totally scrap Turvey, and they're supposed to be on the same side, made no difference.
You bringing up a point that until watching Ray, like I've always had the thought, but I'm gonna try to do my best to put it into words, because you had said, and so did some people in the chat, just say, I agree, he knows something that he shouldn't, or he uncovered something,
right?
As if he was just digging on his own. I mean, it sounds crazy when I start this next sentence, but Sammy T Mafia brought up this MK Ultra aspect. Even if you don't necessarily apply the whole MK Ultra part, but you apply this grooming, this manipulation to go down a certain path, believing that you should be doing something, and almost gifted this access to something that you don't necessarily always get or you shouldn't get. And is Brian Koberger manipulated to behave in a manner because who's ever choosing to manipulate him in this way is setting this up along the way. So that's where my brain goes when Cy Ray talks about these character witnesses or this other behavior. It doesn't make sense from anything that we've seen, but it would make sense if there's something that Brian Koberger may have thought he was allowed to do, was supposed to be doing, but it came back and it bit him in the ass. And he's sitting there with Ann Taylor and he's like, well, I did that. And maybe the way that he was led to do it was these seeds of these ideas were planted in his head that made him feel like whatever it was okay doing. So if he has to come out and say, did they tell you to do that? He also can't go and say, well, no, they didn't explicitly tell me. I just assumed. And that's when you're cooked.
Right. Right. And all the, all those interviews that we set through and went over time and time again, all these interviews from all the kids and stuff, none of those made sense. And are they just looking for a fall guy because maybe the kids were involved and they have relatives or beings of, high up in government that they had to put somebody into, oh, well, we have this problem and this problem. We'll just put them together, kill two birds with one stone. Pardon the pun, but it makes absolutely 100% no sense. No sense. And it's getting worse every day.
It's getting worse. And I don't want to just have my brain going crazy, but these calls have been really good tonight. And this is why I love the call-ins, because it sparks thoughts that I've had that I haven't in a while. And now I'm just thinking back to after just saying that and you continuing to reinforce that they're killing two birds with one stone. Again, not necessarily the best pun to use perhaps, but
yeah.
we have a professor who is getting funding, and we hear Chief Jenkins talking about this funding, but what do you need to show in order to receive more federal funding? Usually it's real world impact. And
Exactly.
we have that same professor who is forwarding names.
Yeah.
Vetted names. Are we to think that a criminology professor that has a criminal psychology dynamic to it might not have had something that they were also keeping in the back of their head to who they selected to forward that name to Chief Jenkins for? Because that just seems like such a big piece of the puzzle that for whatever reason, I'm not going to stop talking about it, but for whatever reason, nobody else wants to take that serious. I mean, for God's sakes, there's literally funding that describes damn near what the reason would be Brian's out there and connects him to everybody that would have the power to frame him.
Right. Well, take this. Okay. Say this happened. I mean, I don't want to put it out there in the universe, but I kind of got to get my point. Say that 4 murders happened in Oklahoma, where I'm at, at the University of Oklahoma. What gets me is it probably may have been, I mean, you just go, you hear about it on TV. It's a horrible thing. Shouldn't have happened, whatever. And it goes on. Okay. What would give our government the right to go in and violate their own policies to get the IGG reports, to violate the policies that the DOJ has to get the result that they wanted? Who are they protecting?
Well, I'll answer the first part of that question is what would give them the power to do that?
Well, they're the government. They can do anything.
And what would be their motive? They need to show real world impact.
Exactly. But you know what? Of all this time, have they ever apologized or said, "Oh, my bad, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm in trouble." No. It
And-
just goes on. It's swept under the rug or just put out there in front of our faces. And it's like, hey, anytime any of this crap could happen to a normal person.
Right.
It should scare everybody to hell. What I tell you, if you don't pray to God that things get better, I don't know because we're going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh yeah,
with all this corruption and shit, and it's terrible that has to be on the backs of these innocent 4 kids.
I totally agree.
All the mess, and then you have these experts saying people like us are ridiculous and absurd because we think this way. Don't give us a damn reason to think this way.
It's simple.
Tell us the truth.
It's our fault. Like, we're so stupid. We have no logic or common sense, yet we're looking at the official documents, allegedly.
Right. And, it comes back to what I said before. If you're in law enforcement, and I know this for a fact, they do not talk when there's an investigation or a case going on. They don't talk. And even with this being a high profile case, I don't think they realized that so many people would see the inconsistencies when stuff started coming out and it's gotten as big as it has. And now they're trying to, backpedal to, oh crap, what are we going to do with this narrative now? We've got to, send Ray out there and let him, say, well, if you guys knew what we knew or we know, then you would, BK is 100% guilty.
And doesn't it seem to be reasonable and logical and common sense, as they say, or as Cy has said, that you needed Brian Koberger to be guilty no matter which way you cut it, because the real killers are known and the public can't know about them.
Right.
That's as simple as it gets.
There again, it was, I believe, my opinion, it had to do with the drugs or something on that campus. And he was in law enforcement and he got into something or found something out and it got his ass in trouble and it put him right in the middle. And, if they're going to go outside their policies to get the, we won't worry about a warrant, for your lab to look at the, like databases, the personal databases like 23andMe and what have you. Well, they could do that anytime. And I bet you for a fact they have done it millions of times already for cases and stuff. If they're doing it once, they'll do it more.
They've done it to get us into world wars.
Yeah. So
it's so simple and it's just scalable. It's scalable.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, you want to know what, Becky? I'll finish on this. We are seeing through it and how they expect it to continue to work because it's worked in the past. Those days are over.
Right.
We're only going to get better at finding ways to combat it. We're infants right now trying to figure this out because we've never seen anything like this, but it doesn't mean that we're going to stop. It doesn't mean that we're going to just stay stagnant. That's the beauty of what we have built here. It's not me. It's all of us. We have built a fluid, dynamic community that can go wherever we need to because of the different ways that people think in here. It's beautiful and it's dangerous in the best way.
Right. And with Ann Taylor saying she couldn't really defend her client to the best of her ability. Well, that right there's an out. Well, if he's got a appellate lawyer helping him, as they've said in the past, why aren't they going on the grounds of the damn government went out, broke their own damn policies to get this from the IGG? You would think that, but Ray did say that if the DNA evidence didn't come out like it is, then everything would be out the window. The whole case would be gone.
I totally agree. I mean, it's and at a certain point, and this might just be my brain. At a certain point, when it's established, what you just said, when it is established as it is, and I don't think that this is just an echo chamber. I mean, we have people disagreeing here about a lot of stuff, and probably with me, which is again what I like and what I want. But when that's the denominator, not just on this channel, but on many channels, then can we accept that? And can we start to use that in our thought process and start to change some of these theories? It doesn't mean that certain players have to go away. I mean, some will inevitably, but the way that it's applied, I just think we need to update our stuff. We need to update things more. It's like we had original theories with minimal transparency, which I guess there's an argument for based on yesterday, which is how much transparency do we really have? But if those theories have just kind of maybe transformed or just had like added on wherever it'll fit with the new stuff, it's built on sand. Does that make sense? And so if we can all accept that, let's maybe set our pride to the side and understand that we probably all were wrong in one way or another in the beginning. And we can't go back and fix those theories because even now with what we have, they don't work. We can't prove it.
Right.
There's got to be a way to prove it, and I don't believe that it's going to be anything that's officially given to us.
Yeah. Well, about the Oklahoma thing, I was saying what would give our government the tenacity or balls, if you want to say it, to get involved enough to break their own policies just for some murder case? Do you see that in any other murder cases?
No.
We don't hear about it, at least.
No.
Because everybody kind of accepts the narrative, and there's going to be a couple of people that, that's not right. I think they got the wrong guy. They've proved that there are so many innocent people in jail now. It blows my mind. Use the damn DNA to get these people that are innocent out of jail.
It's the whole thing about like then why would he plead, Becky? Innocent people don't admit guilt. Yeah. You know what? Again,
That's why
it's just crazy.
That's why I think he was in some type of law enforcement, or maybe not even the law enforcement. It still goes back to he was the number one pick in my view. Why wouldn't he have gotten the job?
Like
there
the
has
answer
to be a reason.
The answer is in the narrative. It's just framed so often in a different light. It shuts your brain down from even looking at it that way. He's got to be, like we've said, like the Fed thing. He's a criminology PhD TA.
Yes.
Like he's in it. They tell us he's in that. So it's like, why do we just count that out as not being some sort of a factor as to why he's in the position he's in?
Right.
Instead of it just being creepy.
Right. And the prison that he's in, is that a federal prison?
That's going to be a question for somebody else. I'm not sure.
I'm not for sure either. I haven't looked that up. But I mean, you would think it would be a capital murder case.
Yeah.
And isn't that federal?
Capital
So
murder, I believe, is yes.
so it just rubs me wrong the whole way. And like I said, it's just my opinion, but I think it was law enforcement from the beginning because of the way things came out, and then everybody getting these grants and doing this and that, and then boom, he I mean, they had his name before December 20th, before they had that uh uh, uh talk with Jenkins.
Oh yeah.
They just everything that's more and more coming out goes back to the fact that something big happened. They're trying to cover it up. They don't want the American public to know. And to hell with, well, we can break whatever policies we want. Well, if you break the law, you get in trouble.
It's true.
They're breaking their own, well, they're breaking the American public's law. And there's no consequence.
Because the only people that would hold them accountable is themselves.
Right. And they ain't going to do that because money talks.
Well said, Becky. And I hope
But
you
that's what I
have.
got.
Well, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you. Bye, Hive.
Yep. Cheers. All righty. We have Patricia. How are you doing?
Fine. How you doing? Can you hear me all right?
We got you loud and clear, Patricia. What do you got for us this evening?
Well, I've heard a lot, and everything's been great tonight. Everything everybody says has been like how, after I watched that with the Queens, which I love their responses back, their battles, but, people wonder what, why they picked out Koberger. His high degree is not just probably the only thing that got him there, because I have a criminal justice bachelor's background, and when I applied for a position, before I planned on going on further, uh, you know, there's two different law books cops carry around: their own law, and then what law they cite. And they don't like for people to know that. They can.
Is that true?
That is true. They teach you that in school and private, BLET.
I did not know that.
And so, like, if they pull you over and say, you were speeding, you knew you wasn't, well, you gonna keep arguing with them and go to jail? No, you're gonna take it, pay it, whatever, because they know you will.
Mm-hmm.
But they know you wasn't speeding. They just, happened to be there. They was bored. They had to do something. They don't look like they were busy. I mean, we're told that. You got to do something. You got to make it up.
I don't disagree that there are times, I'm sure, when I've always been a believer in the speeding ticket at the end of the month for a quota thing.
Yeah, there is a quota. That is a real thing. But also in my interview, I was told I was too truthful. Come back when I could be a better lawyer.
You were what?
I was too honest of a person.
Oh.
Come back when I'm a better lawyer.
Yep.
And when you fill out your application, be sure to take a picture of it, and it better say the same thing every time.
Wow.
So that discouraged me from going on as high as BK. I stopped at a bachelor's degree. I didn't want to know no more. I mean, it just really angered me because I didn't want to went to school for. People think they're there to protect, and all this. No, they're not. They're there to make money like everybody else. It's a job.
Yeah, and that's where you have to, have
even though your constitutional rights will not always save you.
Well, I agree, but that's where you have to have people that ideally have a good moral compass that are doing it for the right reasons, and we know that a few bad eggs ruin it for everybody. We know that, but
they seem to didn't want to know about my morals. They want to know if I could lie.
Yeah, well,
But anyway, back to what we're talking about. I think my personal opinion now, why Ray comes out every time y'all get close to something and every channel's talking about it, you'll see either new docs be dropped or you'll see like you got Netflix and even Prime going to add a series, too. I mean, don't leave them out now. They want their players. But every time something's getting ready to drop, that they want to come out with something to counteract before you see it. So you won't, buy into anything or something you pick up on. But have you not noticed when everybody seems to be on the same track and the ones that really has their heart in it, like you and Pop and Lana, and I forgot the other one. I'm sorry,
No,
but
you're good.
they, when y'all are on the same page, got your heart into it. This happens every time. And, when y'all got off the subject with the guy that OD'd and what's his name? The woman and girl took him to the hospital. His friend went and picked him up. They were dealing, lace cocaine, even in Boise, because that's where this happened. And y'all were talking about it and showing the camera how, and everybody praised how that's how you be a cop. How he questioned that guy until he got the truth out of him about where the cocaine came from, and his best friend. All the college brats come down here. This is where they come to party in Boise, and now I ain't giving my girlfriend up. I'm sure you remember the video where the guy had OD'd that he didn't get released. He left the hospital.
Right.
Remember that video? Everybody was on top of this. You're getting to the two people that were selling it. Well, I have a picture I took that on my I screenshotted it off of when I did that dump, because after that dump, pictures, they sucked some of them back up, they blocked them, and I screenshotted a picture because they were talking about laced pills too, like oxycodone or something, laced with I don't know what that other drug is. It'll kill you.
The fentanyl?
Fentanyl, yes.
Yep.
And then they were lacing cocaine. And that's why that guy at the partner, when he opened the door, he's like, oh, yeah, cocaine, right? I mean, because they were selling laced cocaine. And, when y'all were in that deep, especially when him talking to the cops, the way the cops handled that, they got the cocaine they left behind from him. They got a better story that, oh, this guy just likes to be called D. Well, we know who he's talking about.
Right.
And the girl that models for him, Bailey. If anybody ever did a FOIA or went back as far as their criminal history, which ain't hard to look up, well, it ain't for me, but how far back it goes of them selling drugs, and it's always like a misdemeanor, and it clearly states in that video they go all the way to Mexico, all the way once a month to what? What do you think? Restock. They go all the way to Boise, Atlanta, dropping this lace cocaine, lace pills. Well, that screenshot I took was a baggie full of little round pills, and was another baggie laying there, and I could see the blue or whatever color green with the white in it. And I've never took any kind of drug.
Well, do you have that photo still?
I'll have to look back on, because I got all my photos on my phone. I can email it to you.
Yes,
it's
please.
all over Xana's dresser. While the blood is everywhere, they left all them drugs laying on her dresser. And you even see that, like it's in a little plastic bag. You can buy them at the pharmacy to keep your medicine in, But it was on her dresser, and they didn't even try to hide it when I taking pictures of the blood on the wall, and the table that was rolled. I mean, right there. And I blew it up and I took a picture because I wanted to see what was in that other bag. And it was like at least 8 pills. It looked round, like oxycodone. Like that's what it looked like. but I'm sure we all had to take some pain medicine for some surgery. But anyway,
Yep.
when y'all got on that story, all of y'all were doing it, and then you're popping up talking about, yeah, that's why police should, respond. He got the truth out of the guy, because the guy was lying to him like crazy. I mean, you could have to know that, right? Well, see, only thing he did was try to better himself so he could be a better person for his family, because his family is the only people that's ever had faith in him.
Well, that's what it certainly seems like, and that's this pattern with these people that are always in the headlines now. There's so many that are lone wolves. At least the cases that continue on with no answers, right? I mean,
exactly.
And I don't know if that's why it does continue on, is because they don't have people that could talk on behalf of them because they're the lone wolves. But that also makes them the prime targets to just be railroaded. So
it gets a lot of fear in people and want to, hire their education. I don't care where you go, because it did me.
Right.
And I already knew too much. So I already know way too much. And I mean, I'm not planning on working for any law enforcement, so I don't give a crap what they think. What I know, what I tell. But I'm just telling you, when he applied for that job, it wasn't he didn't qualify. He overqualified. He knew too much.
Well, I don't disagree with that by any means. I think that Brian Koperger was more than capable. We see it in writing, and to think that that's not a factor is just crazy. And Patricia,
And the reason why I think he won't defend himself, it ain't because he don't know the law. Oh, I assure you he does.
Oh, yeah, I think I agree with that too.
Because he knew Ann Taylor didn't have everything. He knew she wasn't. He knew she was a smart person, but he knew that she was being minimized, criticized already for being a female.
Ann Taylor?
The way the judge treated her, it was no, everything she wanted.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like a when I saw the first hearing and the prosecutor's like, "Oh, we're ready." It's like a game of poker. I would have had to say, "I'm ready," and they would have changed their tune.
Well, I agree with that, and I appreciate the call, Patricia. I'm going to get to these next callers, but you bring up phenomenal points, and I appreciate you sharing your experience because, again, whenever you hear somebody that's gone through it, you have a bachelor's in criminology. It again, for whatever that subconscious bias is in our head, it's like, okay, well, they've experienced it, So I appreciate you calling in to share that. I hope you have an awesome weekend.
Thank you so much. I love your show.
Thank you, Patricia. You have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hive, if you have tuned in to many call-in shows, you know that I've not done this very often, maybe only one other time. My throat's starting to get scratchy, and I have the war room tomorrow, so I apologize to any of the callers backstage, but I've really been trying to monitor that. I saw somebody say, Bernie, you look tired. I'm not tired. It just, it mentally, just knowing what's coming down the pike once I get this feeling, I just don't want to push it. And that is not meant to be a Banfield quote, but I do feel bad that there are some people backstage. However, just know that if I didn't get to you tonight, it's for no other reason. And I don't believe that we got to the 1,000 likes either. We're a few hundred away. So I'm going to go through these super chats and thank you to everybody who did send a super chat in. Karma's reign. So the biggest games in the USA are the New York Police Department and the California Police Department. It has proven they stick together for sure. Big cities, massive power, a lot of opportunity to get to the, a lot of opportunity. Sorry, I just saw a comment from somebody backstage. I'll leave that as a surprise, officer. Now I already forgot your old name. Why am I blanking on it? Why am I blanking on the officer who always calls in here? Hive, help me out. Why am I blanking on that? Mowry, Detective Mowry. Duh. What is going on with me? I said kitchen showers, and now I'm forgetting Detective Mowry's name. Sheesh. Sorry about that, Hive. Joseph Valdez says, always coming in with the timestamp, said 3:12:40 to 3:12:48 cut out of 1112 cam. Same second that the 4 runners are on Tesdale's body cam. Also, the guy getting the MIC ticket stops, looking to the left, and starts shaking. Stingray used triggers Axon body cams. Man, we need to re-explore the whole Stingray device thing, because especially with how much geofence was referenced and Cy-Ray talking about the geofence, and I just need to educate myself more, and I think it'd be good for all of us to know as far as like a Stingray and the capabilities that it has with a geofence. And UFO Dog, thank you for the super chat, said check your text for the Cy-Ray photo. I will show that tomorrow and on Monday. And with that, Hive, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evening. Pineapple Diana said it's dad brain coming in. So yes, Aaron, I believe that I might have had a guest every night this week. So to say that I'm very excited for the war room to just dive into the chat is an understatement. And thank you to everybody who did call in this evening. This was awesome. I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow for the war room at 11 a.m. Central. Cheers, everybody.